Agut moed raboisai. We're holding by a brand new Mishnah, Daf Peivav Amud Beis. Zok Teilagi Mishnah. Me'ayin hoyu mevinas hayayin. There's wine libations. You could even bring a carbon of wine, just wine, but you bring it together with shlamim, with the oil. Where do you get this wine? Kiduchayim va'atulayin, two places. Alpha liyayin. It actually rhymes. Kiduchayim va'atulayim, alpha liyayin. Alpha is the alpha male, the alpha, the number one. Shnia lahen, base Rima, base Lavan Bahar. The second on the list is from Rima and Lavan Bahar. Ukfar Signo Babika, and from a place called Signa in the valley. All lands. We once had all lands, and I said before, all lands in the first Mishnah was, when it comes to the Shtei Alechem and the Oimer, was only from Eretz Yisrael. So Kol HaArotzis doesn't mean all lands, it means all cities. Now it means all lands. You could get French wine, you get Italian wine, Spanish wine, it's all good. Kol HaArotzis HaYiksheris, Elamekano Yimevim, it was better to bring from here. Emevim Loimi Beis HaZvalim, do not bring from a fertilized vineyard. It doesn't taste good. Or vineyard that needs irrigation and cannot depend solely on the rain. And there are vineyards that different things are planted between the vines. Beheter, not kilai hakerem, but beheter. Do not use that. Vimhevi, but if you did bring from such a vineyard, kosher, it's okay. Emevim halistion. Now remember, halistion is going to be grapes that were completely ripened by the sun, so they're super sweet, not good wine. Vimhevi, kosher. And if you brought it, b'diavad, it's kosher. Ein mevim yashan. So this is going to throw everybody for a loop. We all know that aged wine is better than regular wine, not for the Beis HaMikdash. If it's more than a year old, no good. Divrei Rebbe. Chacham say it's okay. So this is the Gemara is going to ask a contradiction because we said before, halistion is masay. You don't bring sweet wine, and not smoked wine. The Olam is very into the smoking. A lot of the guys that understand meat, like Hil Kamiansky and Benny and Shmuley Wasserman, these kind of guys, they have smokers. They smoke their meat. That's great for meat. Bas or v'yayin, but not wine. Why not? V'loi mevushal, and not cooked wine. So today, mevushal is a big thing. We cook the wine, we bring it up to a certain degree, and then bring it down so that there's no problem of yayin nesach. So mevushal we're familiar with. V'mhevi, and if you bring mevushal wine, you bring smoked wine to the Beis HaMikdash, pasul. So pasul includes even the very sweet wine. It's pasul. Ve'mevim min hadoliyos. And you don't bring wine. Here we go. So first of all, let me show you this, and then I'll go back. Hadoliyos means hanging vines, hanging grapes. You want them to be elo min haragliyos, from the feet. It's like a foot, the ones that are touching the ground. Umin hakromim ha'avudim. You should bring wine from for the miraglios, the grapes are on the ground, but also from the vineyards that are worked upon, that they cultivate them twice a year. Twice a year. I'm going to see in the Gemara. You don't put them in large barrels, in those magnums, in the large barrels. You put them in the smaller jugs. You don't, if you ever notice, there's always room on the top. You don't fill up the wine all the way to the top because you want it to have some air space in the bottle, to have some aroma, and then when you open it up, it pops out. And it may be mipia. You don't take from the top because of what looks like flour, which means a mold. Here it is, this mold on the top. V'loy mishulel, don't take from the bottom of the barrel because of the sediments that settle on the bottom. Everybody knows when you pour some bottles. I didn't really have it over here on Yontiv, but sometimes you pour a bottle and you have sediment on the bottom, and it gets into your wine, and it doesn't. You don't really like it that much. That's not what you put in for the Beis Hamikdash. It has to be clear. Elo maybe mishlisho me'emtza. You have like a faucet in the center of the barrel. Shot exactly where it is, but in the third of the barrel, that's where the top is no good because it has the kemach, the mold. The bottom is no good because it has the sediments. You take from the center. How do we check the quality of the wine in the Beis Hamikdash? Hagizbar, the Gabbai, Yoishev HaKana he has a reed, Zorek Hagir, once the bubbles, the white bubbles start coming up, the mold, and then that sort of stuff. Hikish Bakana, he whacks, he makes a sound with his stick. Stop pouring. Enough. The Gemara is going to say, why didn't he just say stop pouring? Why does he have to hit something? The Gemara is going to say because sound of the voice could ruin the wine. Not good for the wine. If you have any of this stuff on the top, get rid of the whole barrel. We don't want any of it. The mincha should be complete, and also the wine should be complete. Any wine that has mold, do you want to drink? Oh, it's just on the top. The top layer has mold. I'm not interested. I want a nice, clear bottle. We're holding by the Gemara. Do not bring sweet, cooked, smoked wine, and if you did bring, it's possible. As the Gemara of Aktani Reisha, it says in the Reisha, and I pointed it out, do not bring the listion. Why can't you bring the listion? Because it's sweet. Maybe kosher, but after the fact it's kosher. You just said if you bring sweet wine after the fact it's possible. Omar Ravina Kurei. So simple pshat in both Rashi's top bottom that you take the two and you put them together and you say listion and sweet wine is no good. You must say it's a little bit of a doicha because in the Mishnah it says it's okay. No, we're going to put both of them and say no, both of them are not good. Rav Ashi Omar, let me try to fix the doichak over here. He says, no, in fact, they're not both the same. One is kosher and one is not kosher after the fact. Chulya the shimsha, when it sweetens through the sun, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a disgusting grape. It's a great grape. They make the best wines in the world from it. Just that it so happens to be, it sat in the sun a little bit too much. The sun hit it from a different direction. The sun is what gave it extra sweetness. It's not a disgusting wine. Chulya de Peira, but when the sweetness comes from the actual species, what's the word I'm looking for? Variety of grape. The entire variety is a sweet variety. That's disgusting, so to speak. We don't want that type of grape. We want a nice red grape, whatever it is, the Savion, whatever it is. You give me some Schwache grape from Mexico, not interested. It's a Mo's grape. If you have the Savion, the Merlot grape, and the sun hit it a little bit much on the side, and that's why it's sweet. No. But that the whole, I'm looking for a better word, not variety, not the min, okay, you know what I'm saying. Zog the Gemara. Not the blend. No, blend is two types. Okay, weiter. Rebbe says you can't bring older wine. Let's get into it. Why not? My time of the Rebbe. Why not? It says by Rish Chodesh. La keves yayin. It says those two words together: the sheep and the wine. Ma keves ben shnasoy, a sheep, as we're going to see soon. Also, a sheep is a year old. A ayil is 2 years old. A sheep is a year old. So too, wine has to be a year old. As the Gemara, if you're going to compare it to sheep, a sheep when it's 2 years old, it's completely possible. If you tell me, yeah, wine that's 2 years old is completely possible, not after the fact, but it's possible. It says mufurish that if you have wine that's 2 years old, don't bring it. Vimhevi kosher. It's not possible, it's kosher. But if you're comparing it to sheep, it should be possible. And who says that you shouldn't bring it? Rabbi. It's kosher. It says in Pasuk, don't see the wine when it is red. When is it the reddest? It's red when it's a year old. As soon as it switches ages, it starts becoming less and less red, more and more brown. When it's red in its first year, that's when it's the most desirable, it's the most tasty, it has the best taste. And we're concerned, the Pasuk is concerned that you're going to drink too much and you're not going to know how to differentiate between right and wrong. You might do silly things. Because of this pasuk, Alteri Yayin Ki Is Adam, because of this pasuk, this is the reason why on the Seder night we are makbid to drink red wine and not white wine. Zok the Gemara. Ein meviin loy min adaliyos. You shouldn't bring grapes that hang like our grapes today. They hang. We don't let them go on the floor. Tana kram avudim pamayim b'shana. You should have vineyards that are cultivated with a hoe. You take that tool and you soften up, you loosen up the dirt underneath the vine twice a year. Aerate it, give it a little ear, whatever. These winemakers, they know what they're doing. They need a lot of air, a lot of sun. It's a whole. Rav Yosef had a karna de pardeso. Rav Yosef had a corner of a orchard of a paradise. The Rafik Beit Fei Rivka. He cultivated the ground more than everybody. Va'avid Charman, in fact, it produced wine, the Dori Mayo Al Chad train. Typically speaking, in the time of the Gemara, they would do meziga. Meziga is to dilute the wine. The wine was way too strong. So they would typically put 3 parts water, 1 part wine. Here, let's just see. They would dilute it. There's also another way to drink water because the water wasn't sanitized, so they would, kill it with alcohol. Rav Yosef's wine was so strong because he cultivated the land double that it produced double amount of wine. How? By being able to add double amount of water. Double than usual. Usually it was 3-1, now it's 6-1. Says the Gemara weiter, they wouldn't gather the wine in larger barrels. Tana chaviyos, the smaller barrels, kadiyos, ludiyos, beniyos. These are really the same as a kad, as a jug in lud, a medium-sized jug in lud. You wouldn't put the 2 next to each other like this, because if this one is spoiled, the aroma from this one will go and climb into the other one. So they would distance them 1-1. They would store them 1-1, not next to each other. Keitzad boydek. We said, how does the shamash check the wine? When it started bubbling, the foam, he would bang and say, stop pouring. He wouldn't say it, but that's what it meant. Stop pouring. When the sediments start pouring out, gizber hikish bakana. He would bang with the stick. Ask the Gemara, why didn't he say it with his mouth? So it helps and proves Rabbi Yochanan right. We know that in the Beis Hamikdash, when they made the psamim for the Ketores, they would say Hadek Hetev. They would say these words because it was good for the psamim. Kach dibur ra leyayin. So too, speaking is terrible for the wine. Rabbi Yosi bar Rabbi Yehuda Oimer. So now we have 3 questions. Boy, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda said that if there's a little bit of kemach, there's a little bit of mold on the top, get rid of the whole barrel. Boy, Rabbi Yochanan, Gdishoi, Maybe I jumped at that. There's three questions. This is the famous question that we had at least three times, probably four times already. This is the fifth time. I'm not counting, so I might be off. But it says, we just said that according to Rabbi Yossi, the wine is no good, get rid of the entire barrel. What happens if you decide to donate this $10,000 barrel to the Beis HaMikdash? You're a big tzaddik, no? Maybe you should get Malchus. You're not a tzaddik. Why? Keep the psul, kibamum, dami. Since if there's a psul, it's similar to being a balmum. And a balmum, we know if you donate an animal knowingly that has a blemish, you get Malchus. Perhaps the whole idea of balmum is only by a behema. Take it. I got it. Elim, if somebody donated rams, which are 2 years old, you bring them from the best place in the world to get a ram, mayav, mimayav. Kivasim, if he donated a sheep that's only a year old, mechevrain. Agolim, where do you get calf? Thank you. You're quick. Agolim calf, you get it from sharin. Gozalois, how do you call that thing that has wings? It goes like this. Yeah, I know it's a bird. Gozalois maramelach. Get those birds from Haramelech. You're not going to believe this. You bring a sheep that's its height is as tall as its width. What does that mean? So check out this Taisus. Taisus says, Taisus there maskul shugavim rechavim. Says Taisus, Ubebereshis Rabba. Oh, I see Kobe already doctored it since last night, because last night I just threw it in there and it wasn't so nice. He does the background and he did the underline. Ubebereshis Rabba Omar the Kvasim Shel Tamid the Hayu Kolkach Gevayim. They were so tall. Sha'oichlem al Gabi Arozim. They're like giraffes. They eat from the top of the trees. You know, because Baruch Hu made a tremendous nest. You go in the safari. There are the animals that eat from the top. There are the animals that eat from the bottom, and the animals that eat from the middle. The giraffe doesn't eat from a bush that's 5 feet tall. It's too short for him. He eats from the 10-foot trees, 20-foot. And then you have all the gazelles that only eat the grass, and the wildebeest only eat the grass. Then you have the middle guys. Akash Baruch Hu made it in a way that they could all survive in the same area. It's not like they're all eating from the same crop. It's beautiful. So these sheep for the Talmud, they were so tall. They would eat from the top of a cedar tree. And when they would put these sheep on top of a camel, the feet would drag on the ground. My time in the Rabbi Yehuda, what's pshat in Rabbi Yehuda? They have to bring these giant sheep. In the future, the sheep will graze kar nirchav. Kar is a sheep, nirchav, very, very wide. If I was in the base measure, we would be singing right now, or some other niggin. On top of the wall that protects Yerushalayim, I stationed guards. All day, all night, tamid, all the time. Lo yecheshu, they will not be quiet. Hamaskir mis Hashem al dami lachem. Those who mention Hashem, they will never be quiet. My army. So what are these guards saying? That they're not being quiet. Hachi amar Rav bar Rav Shilo, Avat tosakum terachim tzion ki yeis lecherna kiva. Atasakum terachim tzion. You shall, how do you say sakum? Not to stand up, to build. Terachim tzion. Have rachmanas, have compassion on Yerushalayim. Hashem will rebuild Yerushalayim. B'meheira b'yomeinu amen. And before Yerushalayim was destroyed, what would the guard say? It doesn't have to be rebuilt. Hashem chose Yerushalayim. He desires to dwell in Yerushalayim. Hadron aloch kol korbanos hatzibor, hadron aloch kol korbanos hatzibor, hadron aloch kol korbanos hatzibor. Says the Mishnah, Shtei midoy shel yavish hayu b'mikdash. There were only 2 measuring cups in the Beis HaMikdash. Now, it doesn't mean there was 2 measuring cups total. There was 2 sizes. There might have been 100 of the same one, but it's the same size. What are the 2 sizes? Right over here. The Isarin, the Chatzi Isarin. Those are the 2 sizes. Now, it's very possible there was 100 Isarins and 2-3 Chatzi Isarins. But the total types, the types were only 2. You must get to all measurements through these 2 measuring cups. There are 3. 2 types of Isarin, which the Gemara is going to explain. They're different sizes, but they're called Isarin. And a Chatzi Isarin, total of 3. Isarin, what would they do with the Isarin? Says the Mishnah, every single mincha needs the Mr. Isarin. It says in the pasuk, when it comes to the bull, when you bring a bull, you need 3 Yisroinim of flour. So they didn't have a 3 Yisroin vessel to measure that. So you would use the 1 Yisroin and you fill it up 1 time, spill it in twice. You do it 3 times. And the same thing for the ram. You need 2. There was no special kli that held 2 Yisroinim. You would have to use the 1 Yisroin kli. Ella, you would only measure it 1 Yisroin at a time. And what do you do with the second kli called the Chazizar? We know the Kohen Gadol would bring 1 Yisar from home, and he would measure with the half a Yisar, and half of the Yisar, he would use the Chazizar measuring device for the morning mincha that a Kohen Gadol would bring, and for the afternoon. It says in the pasuk, Isarin, that's 1 Isar. We say it, don't we say it every day in Chalamayid? Isarin. Yeah. What's the double lashon Isarin lakeves echad? There were 2 measuring devices called Isarin. Echad gadush ve'echad machuk. So he says the pshat is like this: the one on the right is lower than the one on the left. The one on the left holds an Isarin when you erase machuk. You make the top level. Gadosh, they both hold the same amount, but in different ways. The one on the left, you have to level out the top. The one on the right, you pile it up, and by piling it up, you get a full Isar. But the actual kli is slightly smaller than the one on the left. Gadosh Abai, and why is that? Because the Torah says Isar and Isar. So the only way I understand to get 2 of these Israelim is by making them different sizes, but coming out with the same amount. The full one, the one on the right, I would use for every mincha. And the one on the left, I would use for chavidi kohen gadol. Since I have to move from place to place with it, I don't want anything to spill. It's also, since I have to measure half of it, it's going to be a different measurement if it's piled up, heaved up. So Mela, I make it flat and straight. No, there's only 1 measuring device in the Beis HaMikdash. Shenemar v'isarin echad lakeves echad. It says v'isarin echad, there's only 1 measuring device. It became, but I have a problem. Rameir has a very good taina. Why does the pasuk say that there was 2? No, the rabbi is chatzi yisar. 1 is the full yisar, and 1 is the half a yisar. Rameir chatzi yisar menale, and how did Rameir already uses up the yisar and yisar? So how does he know that there's something called a half a yisar? Nafkele me v'isar, the extra vav. V'rabbanan vav ledarshi. The Rabbanan don't hold that you can make a whole drasha and a limud of a new kli from a vav. V'rameir hayi v'isar nechad lakeves echad. My avalei Rabbanan learn from v'isar nechad. It says there's only 1 measuring device called v'isar nechad. What do they do with that? To teach us That when it comes to measuring the bull and the ram, you don't have a special device for that. You use the Isarin device. Rabbanon, and how did Rabbanon know that you don't have a special device for that? A three Isarin measuring cup. Nafkalu minikudoi, because it says on top of the vav of the second Isarin has a dot. From that dot, the Sanyo Omer B'Yosi Lama Nokod Vav Shebeemtza Isarin Shel Isarin Rishon Shel Yom Tov Rishon Shel Chag. How come in Sukkot it has a little dot over there? Shlo Yimdoid Loy B'Shel Shloish Lepar V'Loy B'Shel Shnaim La'ayil. Teach us from that dot that you don't have a special measuring device, or a mayor Nikudei Ledarish, or a mayor doesn't darshan the dot. Zog the Gemara. The Mishnah tells us that what do you do with the half Isar measuring device? That's for the Kohen Gadol. That's the only thing we use it for. As the Gemara Moeded, what he measures, the half, Vermini. The way it works is the Kohen Gadol brings an entire Isar from his house. He can't go back in the middle and take half. He has to bring it in one shot. And he divides it in half. But you don't need a measuring device for that. Omer Rav Sheish is not true. You do need a measuring device. After he has a whole Isarn in the device, now he has to take a half Isarn and measure it out. Simen Chatzi Chaviti Shulchan. So here the Gemara is going to ask 3 questions. So Rabbi Bar Chama asked Rav Chisda, I know that you said we had a machlokes. Rameir said that there's 2 Isarins, one is Gadish, one is not. Rabbanan said that there's only 1 Isar. Now, what about the half of Isarin according to Rameir? Is it one of these devices that it's a Chatzi Isarin up to the top, it has to be flat? Or it's only a Chatzi Isarin if you make it a nice mound? Says Gemara, why are you asking only according to Rameir? Says Gemara, I don't even know what Rabbanan hold with the real, the larger size of Isarin. Does it has to be Gadish or not? I know according to Rameir there's 2 devices. But what about according to Rabbanan? Gadish hayah. That's why I asked only the half Isarin according to Rameir, because the full Isarin I have a problem even according to Rabbanan. Of course I have a problem. I have a problem both according to Rabbanan. The Rameir Nishma, the Rameir. I can learn Rameir to Rameir. And once I know what Rameir holds in a half, the Rameir Nishma, the Rabbanan. Once I know that, then I'll know what Rabbanan holds. That what? Rameir Isar Machok. We know when the Kohen Gadol brings his chavitin, it should be an Isaroin, a flat Isaroin. So Mela, where do we use the Chatzi Isaroin? By the Kohen Gadol. So since the regular Isaroin it's flat, so Chatzi Isaroin Nam Machok. So therefore, the half of Isaroin is also flat. And once I know the Rameir Machok, once I know the Rameir holds it's flat, the Rabbanan Nami Machok. According to the Rabbanan, it's also flat. So ask Romi Bar Chama. The Kohen Gadol brings 12 breads, 6 in the morning. Out of the flour, this Chatzi Yisar, he brings 6 breads in the morning, 6 breads, and half a Yisar in the evening, which is 6 breads. You have to be clean. How does he break it up? By hand or by a vessel? Says the Gemara, Pshita de biyad. Certainly with his hand. What, he should bring a scale into the Beis Hamikdash? Let me just show you for a second. Over here in the video, you see he does it by hand. Doesn't have a special kli. Says the Gemara, V'yachnes, let him bring a scale. What's the big deal? Says, no. Kivin the b'klala ksiv, la v'yacharo. Where's this? Klala. It says in the pasuk in the klalos, where the Bakar gets the aliyah, nobody else gets the aliyah, nobody wants that aliyah. B'shivri lochem matei lechem v'afu eser noshim lachem lechem atan echod. 10 women are going to bake their bread in one oven, and it's going to fall apart. It's not going to stick together. They're not going to know how to divide the bread. You're going to have to use a scale. So therefore, since the word scale and bread is brought together in a positive of curses, it's not nice to bring that into the Beis Hamikdash. Another question, Rabbi Bar Chama asked of Rav Chisda. Shulchan Maushi Kaddish Kmotzim Bagoyde Shaloi. Interesting lashon. But the question is very simple. Pretend this is the shulchan that we put here. Let's show you the real shulchan. This is the shulchan. It has a flat top, plus it has these like shelves to put the bread. But we just break it down to the physical, to the simple elements. We have a shulchan. We have a mizgeres. We have a nice decorative piece that's underneath. Because the manoma that says is on top. But in this case, the top of the table, like a regular tabletop that we have today, doesn't have a toich, doesn't have it inside. There's no walls on the side. So Mela does it have the power to give kedusha to the frankincense, to the levina? Because typically speaking, we put the levina inside a spoon, 2 spoons, 2 bezichen. Those spoons give the levina a kedusha. But over here, there's nothing what to give the kedusha. There's no walls. Why? Since it has the possibility to give kedusha to the bread, how does the bread become kadosh? By putting on the table. So putting the levina on the table should also give it kedusha. Or perhaps the chazi lemikadosh, only because bread is normal to put it on the table. It's not normal to put the levina on the table. No kedusha for the levina. So look, if you notice, the lechem hapanim has a very funny shape. Why is it funny? Because it's huge. These breads are huge, and they don't fit on the shelf. So what the kohen gadol would do, they would fold the breads over each other. So now it took up 2.5 tefachim. 2.5 times 6 breads, the 6 levels of bread, equals 15, right? Simple Panovich math, the way I do it is 2.5 times 2 equals 5. 5 times 3, because you have 6 breads, that's 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So 3 times 5 is 15. Did I just complicate things? Anyways, 2.5 tefachim times 6 equals 15. It gives kedusha all the way to the top of the top bread. Very powerful. Why shouldn't they give kedusha to the frankincense? So so Mela should give kedusha to the frankincense that's all the way on top, or wherever it is. And if you say it's only 2 tefachim tall, the bread, so 2 times 6 is 12, and it gives the kedusha all the way 12 tefachim on top. You're right. The levina doesn't have gedusha, enough gedusha that you should be able to put it on the mizbeach. But it's enough gedusha that if a tvul yom touches it, it becomes possible. And with that, Rabbi Isai, have a gewaldige yontif, have a good moyed, have a great day. Thank you for joining. A good moyed.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.